And we're back. And guess who didn't save? But I managed to get to where I left off. And now we have the screen. Oh, the screen on the top right because I've gained +5 intelligence. So we're back with Wallace in the cafe. The coffee is nice as well, so maybe I'll make this a regular spot. If I can afford to, that is. Okay, PewDiePie. As for my companion, I think I'm starting to see him in a better way. He's just concerned about his friend. Maybe he's the gentle giant type, who isn't that threatening at all. It's PewDiePie. With his cup empty as he sets it down, Wallace sits back to savor the last of its taste. Well, I've said my piece. Caprice will probably give up on me, but you and Eileen are another matter. Caprice is a good friend. I can handle her. It was nice meeting you, Wallace. You can't handle someone pushy. I carefully repeat his name to try and engrave it in my memory. I have no doubt I'd instantly forget it otherwise. He's perhaps overly hopeful when it comes to Caprice though. Thanks, you seem nice, so hopefully Eileen will ease off a bit. He levers himself off the chair with a grunt, taking a glance outside before grabbing his scarf and hat once more. And good luck with class. Thanks, you too. Woof. Ooh. He just zooms. With that, he leaves the cafe while sidling past someone coming in, staggering through the terrible weather outside as he goes. With my next class so soon, I'd better finish this coffee off quickly. With that in mind, I concentrate on taking as big gulps as I can without looking unsightly. It's funny how one thing leads to another though. It feels like a snowball's begun to start rolling, meeting new and interesting people since I started here. It might have taken a couple of months, but maybe I'll manage to find some new friends. Let's see. Look at that detail. Imagine how long that took to draw. With the weather turning worse and worse as the week went on, the library seemed as a good place as any to spend some time before having lunch. Unfortunately, it looks like I was the only one who had that idea. While the library here is bigger than my previous schools, that doesn't matter much when a large portion of the students are dumped inside. While my first choice would have been using one of the computers, that's obviously out of the question. Worried about looking like a dork as I lured her about, I started walking slowly through the library. Thankfully, nobody pays me much attention while I glance from side to side for an empty table or desk. The students who are actually studying seem to be outnumbered by those gossiping with friends or catching up on sleep. It's only in a far corner of the room that I catch a familiar face, albeit not necessarily a welcome one. Mad girl? Eileen. She's just mad. Eileen sits hunched over a thick textbook, occasionally scribbling into a small notebook beside it as her finger stops every so often on one important part or another. It's hard to tell if she's annoyed or just studying hard. I consider having Eileen to her studying and braving the weather outside before she rubs her temple and looks down mournfully at her notebook. That pose is also familiar for any student. I feel a little bit bad for her, given the vending machine problems and how she wound up with Caprice stuck to her. She doesn't seem to have very good luck. She might not be the friendliest person, but if I could help her a bit romantically. With Wallace's words weighing on my mind, I grimace and accept my fate as I begin walking to the otherwise empty table. She looks up and catches my eye as I come near, so I guess I'm committed to this now. Afternoon. My existence has been noted. I don't think that could sound any more perfunctory, but at least she isn't shooing me away. Setting my bag beside my chair as I take a seat, I pull out my phone to check for any missed messages and switch it to silent before placing it on the table before me. Hi, surprised you're not in the art room. I don't live there yet. I don't live there. Wouldn't it be more private than here though? She lets out a long, miserable groan as her head sinks. Look at her bags. Hardly difficult to work out what that means. Caprice wouldn't stop bugging me to join her drawing for some stupid theme. What was it? I wasn't really listening. Christmas scenes or something. She's barely even listening to me as she tries to wave me off. Caprice is probably scurrying around campus as we speak, hoping for me to join her as a drawing partner. What are you studying? Math. It's been kicking my ass. So I need to get my head around it for these stupid gen ed classes. Aww. Eileen barely lifts her head up from the notebook as she speaks. Looking over the table at her work, various practice equations cover the notebook's page. Aww. I have to admit, I do admire Eileen's drive. I was just going to pass some time in the library reading, but seeing her working away has made me feel a little guilty. That's your life. You any good at this stuff? Math? Well, I ended up skipping the gen ed class thanks to my placement exam results. Oh, she's smart. I forgot she was a scholar. Someone spent their time studying like a good little teacher spent. I didn't like that. Math and science are easy enough, so I ended up coasting along. I need to learn how to study now that I'm here. Eileen's eyes narrow. Maybe she wasn't exaggerating about her skills. After having such an easy time in high school, it's easy to forget I'm the odd one out here. Of course, I put my foot in my mouth just as I was starting to break the ice with her. If you want, I could have a look at your work. She's hardly enthusiastic, but shrugs and moves herself a little out of the way. My curiosity's gotten the better of me. Coming around the table and looking at the notebook from behind her, I take a gander at her notes so far. At least this is easy to read, given her immaculate handwriting. Oh, really? The more I check over her notes, though, the more the corners of my mouth drag down. Hey, she's done a good job of showing her process. And the first couple of questions covering expressions look right at a glance. When it comes to polynomials, however, the next two have odd leaps of logic, while the last meanders off into the wild wilderness. Math is hard, come on. I really adore people who are good at math. I realize I should say something to express how she's done so far. But the window of time to say something even mildly positive to soften the blow has long since passed. Awkward. So it's like that, huh? Well, you gotta accept the fact that you're not good, or else you won't improve. You got some of it right. That didn't help. Gotta accept it, man. Polynomials do seem to trip a lot of people up, so she isn't catastrophically bad at this. Still, considering this first semester of gen ed subjects is mostly reviewing what we did in high school, this isn't a promising start. She's doomed. Mind if I scribble on this a bit? Knock yourself out. I reach over to grab my pen from the other side of the table before hunching over her book and jotting down a couple of notes. First up are a few pointers to where the first two polynomials went awry, before taking a parallel crack at the worst of them. Pausing for a moment halfway to check the logic of what I'm doing, I'm satisfied I'm on the right track as I finish it off. The result looks about right. Eileen flips over the textbook page on cue to check my answer, looking a little dubious as she does so. Vindicated by the matching result, I feel a good bit of relief at not making a fool of myself in front of her. Why would you You're smart. At least one of us has a head for this stuff. Does it make more sense to you now? She takes a thorough look at my scribbles on her notebook, eyebrows furrowed as she tries to pick up the reasoning. I can't help but glance between my notes and Eileen as she looks over them. If she didn't project an aura of wanting to be left alone all the time, just her looks and her style would probably attract people. Yeah, 'cause she's so beautiful. I think so. You don't sound too sure. This is about as confident as I ever get with math. So don't worry, I'll have to repay you sometime. Taking that as confirmation that my job is done, I return to my seat as Eileen leans back in her chair. It's nothing really. You should ask your professor though, if you're not confident doing polynomials. Needing to ask them doesn't mean that I want to. Given how frank she is, I guess this must be a matter of pride rather than shyness. Maybe that's where her stubbornness comes from. Why are you wasting your time here with me anyway? Don't you have some friends to do? Friend things with? I don't have friends. I only really know you and Caprice. Met Wallace the other day actually. So that Pratt was trying to drag him along? Wallace may think it might be a good experience for her, but Eileen's disdain for Caprice is going to be hard to overcome. It's vibrating. Hearing my phone vibrating on the table, I quickly pick it up to see who's messaged me. I quickly force myself to keep a poker face as the name comes into view. Caprice. She must have given up on art out of loneliness if Eileen's avoiding her and I'm here. I'm not terribly hungry, but I should probably get at least a sandwich or something from the cafeteria before classes begin. Quickly typing in an agreement to meet there, I lock the phone once more. I might go grab lunch. Want to come? Oh, sorry, I already ate. Thanks for the offer though. She's already back to concentrating on her textbook as she mumbles a reply. It's probably for the best anyway. Giving a quiet farewell, I grab my bag and put my phone back inside. As I pull it over my shoulder though, Eileen looks up. By the way, don't blame me for any of this stuff Caprice is pushing. You seem alright. Oh. So I'm alright. Perhaps I should accept that as praise coming from her. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Should be or she can be the lonely type who appreciates people who are approaching her. Glad for our meeting having been somewhat successful. I wave goodbye and head out toward the cafeteria. Cafeteria's little less full than the library. The stocks of food behind the counter are already running low on all the usual student favorites. With the line for food moving quickly, I managed to grab the last set of sandwiches and move on. Ta-da! Scanning about, I noticed Caprice sipping her juice, an empty tray before her. She sure eats fast. Glad for the company, either way. I walk over and take a seat at her table. Hey Ali, long time no see. We saw each other yesterday. How's everything going? How are your classes? Not too bad, it's all familiar enough right now. Not that everyone's doing as well as I am. As I unpack my sandwich and begin to nibble, my thoughts turn to the woman in the library. I feel a little sorry for her. Eileen struggled reminding me that I have it easier than some at times. Then there's the matter of her and the club. Setting my food back down, I decide to tackle this more directly than usual. If Eileen can be so direct with others, then so can I. So can we. I was thinking, you meant for me to meet Eileen last week, didn't you? She's fun, isn't she? Something like that. That painting of the girl in the water was really pretty. She's really good, huh? No wonder the other art club tried to grab her. About that, well, more about Eileen. I'm not sure it's a good idea to be forcing people into this club. I know you're excited to get things started, but Just because her art's good doesn't mean she wants to be in a club. You sound like you're not really into it yourself. Sheesh. She's sharper than I give her credit for. Caught off guard, I have to stop and thinking as she sips at the last of her juice. The sucking sound as she makes sure to get every last drop doesn't help. Why does every drop count? It's just a drop. I can't say I'm enthusiastic about this. Eileen's studying is exactly what I need to be doing, lest I waste my scholarship. On the other hand, Caprice is my only friend right now, and I do enjoy spending time with her. As she puts down her drink with a satisfied breath, I know my answer. I can make time for it. You should make time for it. Of course, it's not all about studying. It's about balance. Balance. She gives a comically big sigh, missing my hesitation entirely. If this ends up only being between a couple of us, maybe it won't be too bad, long as it's not a whole bunch of people getting involved. I want to do this for her sake as well, you know. Eileen looks kind of lonely all by herself in that room. Oh. Huh? I hadn't considered that Caprice was coming at it from that angle. It makes me think a little better of her. Yeah, she does seem the type to be like the type who thinks about other people. What she says makes me reconsider Eileen's actions in another light as well. I wonder how much of her reluctance around this isn't due to Caprice herself, but rather her feeling used by the other club for her art. Oh. She has a point. She has a point. Yeah, it would make me sad if they were after for the things I do or my skills rather than for who I am. And well, at least Caprice is like considering Eileen's loneliness. Seeing that kind of talent makes you kind of envious though, right? Yeah. Well, I just drew a bit in high school for fun. I don't think I could ever manage something beautiful like that. We keep chatting, but Caprice's earlier words stick firmly in my mind. We may meet every school day and talk quite a lot. At least she does, but I realize just how little I really know her in spite of that. Yeah, you judged her, too? Maybe spending more time together wouldn't be so bad after all. Yeah. So bright. So blind. With time on my hands thanks to the last class of the week finally being over, some quiet sketching would be a nice way to unwind. Yeah, practice, girl. With that in mind, I make my way up to the art room. Studying would be the proper thing to do, but I'm just too burned out. Not that this stubborn cold helps either. While most classes are winding down, the professors, aware that the looming holidays are a big distraction, others have tried ramping up the workload to try and cover everything in their semester plans. I might be keeping up, but plenty aren't. You're smart. With my bag tucked under my arm, I give a sigh as I stagger along the snowy path to the arts building. It would be nice to feel like I'm doing more than treading water, in class and socially. Stepping into the arts building with its strung-up decorations reminds me to look on the bright side. It's already the middle of November, so not long until Christmas and being back with my family. I'll be thankful to be back with them, even if the rest of the holiday period is a wash. I managed to angle around the chatting group of friends blocking the hallway and start up the stairs without bothering them. Another small success. I briefly wonder if Eileen's in the art room as I proceed along the second floor hallway. Her paintings are always nice to see, but whether she thinks of me as just another pain like she views Caprice weighs on my mind. I saw this thing on social media where if you're overthinking about people not liking you, or if you're overthinking that the situation is bad, all you have to do is to ask yourself, who told you that? And so your mind seems to relax a bit more because you won't find an answer as to who did tell you that, and and that it's all in your head. Opening the door to the quiet room, I can't say I'm surprised at the sight before me. Of course, she was going to be here. Eileen's eyes glanced over as I gingerly shut the door behind me, ending up being the only acknowledgement of my presence at all before she goes right back to her work. Curiosity about what she's painting gets the better of me. Is it okay if I watch? Go ahead. Aww. She doesn't bother to look at me as she says it, but doesn't sound reluctant either, so I scoot over and sit myself on a table as quietly as I can. Eileen's brush continues to flick to and fro as she works in the background. Aww. MC is pretty as well. So, Caprice is a no-show? She said she had to go do something with her roommates. Her shoulders slump as she sighs, relieved. Do you really hate her that much? Believe me, if I hated her, you'd know. I'm just glad to have some quiet. It's hard not to take that as a thinly veiled implication that I should be quiet as well. Boss might not be wrong that Eileen means well, but that doesn't make her any easier to talk to. Something on your mind? You're really good at this. It'll feel weird to say I've been talking about Eileen behind her back. What I said is true though. I'm impressed she can carry on a conversation while working, and I like how her paintings turning out. Thanks, been doing it for a while. As a hobby? If everything works out, hopefully as a career. Artist or teacher, aiming for the latter. Oh. That does explain her persistence at working away to get better. Wanting to be a teacher though, she gives the feeling of a drill sergeant more than an art tutor. Tube's out. Out of paint. Eileen gets up and places her supplies on the sill beside her, opening the cupboard and fiddling around a bit. Before long, she emerges with a new tube of crimson paint in hand. Rather than get back to painting after closing the door though, she instead turns to me. So what about you? Sorry? What are you doing once you escape this place? Oh well, I don't really know. Still trying to figure that out. I feel like I failed the test as I trail off, but Eileen doesn't seem worried. You're still young, and there's a good few courses to look into here. Just try your hand at whatever comes up until something grabs you. There are plenty of worse ways to spend your time in college. You're smart too, so you have that going for you. I awkwardly smile at that praise. I've never been good at knowing how to handle compliments. She may say that, but the fact Eileen's so set on a career yet only seems to be around my age rubs in my lack of direction. I'm still patting myself on the back for managing groceries. My parents always told me I could do whatever I set my mind to, but it was so easy to tread water for me that I never bothered trying to swim. Oh, sounds like you have a nice family. She's in her comfort zone. I move to respond. The memory of them gives me the familiar pang of homesickness all over again. I might have found time to call my mom yesterday, but it just isn't the same. You okay? Yeah, I miss them. Look at her frown. She looks really sad. Well, everyone here is going through the same thing. You as well? I miss my sister. Yeah, she's probably fine, but that doesn't make it easier. Mom and Dad too? To be honest, things have been easier between me and my folks since I moved out. Oh. Well, it's hard to imagine being on such bad terms with my family that moving away was better. The best thing about Christmas would be the chance to see them again. But Eileen doesn't seem particularly fussed about it at all. Leaving me to ponder, Eileen goes back to her painting. I get the feeling she wouldn't be this gracious to Caprice, so she seems to think a little better of me at least. She's lent me an ear. Oh. Not boring you, am I? No, not at all. I like watching you paint. She pauses a moment before continuing. It's only for a second, but I sense hesitation there. Did I say something wrong? Eh, The, the moment passes as soon as it's arrived. Eileen's brush returning to the canvas. The other students appear to have left by now. The orange-stained room silent save for her work. The building's just a little cold, but that's fine. As the minutes roll by, I end up watching her for a while as I swing my legs. I almost forgot I came here to actually draw, but that doesn't matter. Watching her painting slowly progress is more than enough. Every so often, she mixes up a dab of this paint and that on the wooden palette beside her. The side of a hip is traced out, the light bouncing off a waist shaded, or a flowing strand of hair detailed with a fine tip. I can't help but admire her ability to set a goal and stay true to it, knowing exactly what she's working toward at this stage of her life. If only I had an ounce of the ambition Eileen has. I might go to a cafe nearby to grab a coffee. I'll be back in a bit. Tired? Yeah, sorry to distract you from your work. Glad for the company. Have fun. Her hands are clenched. With that, I hop off the table and start toward the door. Oh, wait. Her voice stops me in my tracks, just as I'm about to go. It'd be great if she decided to come as well. Please come. Could you grab me a coffee too? Espresso straight. I'll give you some cash when you come back. So much for that. Well, she's in the zone, so let's just leave her be. The cafeteria hums away as students talk among themselves, the room having mostly filled up by now. The thought briefly passes my mind that winter must be great for business, given this being the closest place for cheap food during bad weather. Some smears on the edges of the plate are all that remains of the mostly cooked pasta served today. What's left of my accompanying soda bubbling away while I pass some time browsing this site and that. Oh. As I read, a shadow suddenly looms over the other side of the table. Looking up from my phone reveals a very familiar figure. Ta-da! Eileen peers down as she stands at the opposite side of the table. A large plate of food steaming away in her hand. The fresh pasta sauce is strong enough to smell from here. Okay to sit here? Sure. 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 Oh, I like the animation. I quickly set my phone down as she takes a seat and arranges her tray on the table, happy that she'd choose to sit with me. A glance around to see if anyone's with her makes me realize why she probably chose to sit here. The cafeteria is practically full, and this is simply the nearest table with space available. Oh, why do you have to overthink things? She might be fond of you now. About to take her first gulp of food, Eileen's fork halts mid-air before saying something. Cold any better? Yeah, clearing up now. Good to hear. With that, she starts on her pasta and salad. Makes me want pasta. As I take my phone to browse some more, and Eileen calmly eats the average at best cafeteria food, it feels as though there's no need to chat just to fill the air. That silence between us is becoming more comfortable. I like comfortable silences. You don't really have to talk all the time. Just the company is enough. That is, before I get a message from Caprice. Oh, it's Rose. And her icons are Rose. Taking away the browser app, I take a quick look. Duck. You were getting groceries yesterday night? Anything in the fridge? Seconds tick by as I wait for a response, a sense of concern starting to take over. Rose. 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 What? There's a crack? Why is there a crack on the phone? Sorry. Why is there a crack? Rose, work needs me. See you later. All I can do is sigh and slump down in my seat as I lay my phone on the table. Eileen looks at me in puzzlement, her fork hovering near her mouth. Bad news. Roommate forgot to do groceries. We're out of food. Sad. Can't you just grab a burger on the way home? That would be the plan if I wasn't nearly through my allowance. I just look away and groan up to outright saying that I'm broke. You gotta budget your allowance. It's that bad, huh? At first glance, she shrugs off as she goes back to eating, but she seems to actually be in thought after watching her a bit. She's thinking of a way to help us. Eventually, after finishing her food, she speaks up. I guess I was cooking some extra anyway. It's so sweet. You can come over for dinner if you want. It's within walking distance. Oh, so sweet. The suggestion's enough to make me bolt upright in an instant. What? To your place? Yeah, should be fine, right? You okay with stir fry? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. Sure, whatever. Just don't make it weird. And after a few scenes, we'll make it weird. Weird. Considering the discussion over, Eileen goes back to finishing off her food without much concern for what she's just said. Maybe she does have a good side. Stopping before the large back door, I repeat the address Eileen gave me to reassure myself I've come to the right place. Eileen's definition of walkable is apparently rather different than mine, still catching my breath from the hike. I thought I was going to be fine, but my nerves are getting the better of me now that I'm here. It's a woman. You should be nervous if it's a guy. I'm going into a near stranger's home, after all, and it'll be just the two of us. In school, we just happen to be around each other, but this is entirely different. Glancing down the hall to make sure nobody's watching me awkwardly loiter around, I take a moment to appreciate how nice our apartment building is. This is a nice area, and everything inside is immaculate. Even the hallway carries a slight scent of cleaning products. Ding dong! Out of excuses to stall any longer, I take a breath and gingerly press the doorbell, its muffled chime ringing out from behind the door. I run my hands through my hair one more time to make sure I look presentable as footsteps come to the door. The plain wooden door swings open, answered by... not Eileen. Oh, evening. Are they siblings? Before I can ask if I got the right apartment, he turns around. Allison's here. Paul jerks his head around for me to follow. I obediently do so, still too confused to get a word out. Eileen didn't mention he would be here. I don't know how I feel about it, but maybe I should be relieved it's not just the two of us. Oh, wow. Barely noticing the thud of the door closing behind me, I take a quick glance around her apartment as I place my coat on the counter. The first striking thing is how clean it is, with everything put neatly in its place. Then again, aside from a few paintings on the walls that are possibly her own, there's not much clutter around to clean up. The television, quite a decent size for students, sits on a cable news channel. Riveting as the economic situation report is, it's barely audible over the clacking rice cooker coming from the kitchen. I pressed it. Sorry. Hi? So you managed to find the place. Welcome to my home, I guess. I'd introduce you to this guy as well, but it seems you two already know each other. Ross and I exchanged a brief glance. Just had a coffee together once. While I did find his size intimidating at first, he seems a bit of a gentle giant figure now, that I'm around him more. Looks like this isn't going to be dinner for just me and Eileen then. Taking one last glass about, the inside of her face is as nice as the outside. From the meticulous cleanliness to the trendy furniture, her home looks more suited to a design magazine than a student's living area. Your apartment's really nice. That's some great luxury. Thanks, I like to try and keep things organized. Especially when visitors are over. Oh, she's a, what do you call, she's a softie. Eileen glares daggers at Wallace, but he doesn't pay any heed. The two seem to have a good handle on each other. And she seems really like a really nice girl who just wants some friends. Moving on, Wallace, just watch TV or something while we get dinner sorted. Can do. Go away, Pews. Thanks again for letting me have dinner with you. Don't get too comfortable. I'm going to make you work for your food. Eileen motions for me to come over with her, but the gesture was unnecessary given her commanding tone. Wallace gives a dreary glance as he follows his orders, and I quickly do the same. Oh, are we gonna play a minigame? I end up standing before a well-used wooden cutting board. Taking the large knife, Eileen offers before sizing up the variety of vegetables awaiting its blade. I don't think she notices my hesitation as she opens the rice cooker and gives the contents a stir. The two of us waste little time in getting to work, the sound of food being prepared filling the room. Unfortunately, it isn't long before I've earned Eileen's ire. Stop! My heart practically leaps out of my chest as I immediately freeze, hands retreating from the cutting board. Did I hand you a hatchet? No. Then why are you using that as one? It looks like you're trying to lop off some fingers. In response to my puzzled look, she takes the knife off me and starts demonstrating the correct technique herself. Though you'd be more help than him in fixing this up. Look, curl your hand in next to where you want to cut like this. Now use the knife like a lever. Instead of wildly hacking away, we're making nice slow slices, not some slasher B-movie scene. Right, I think I have it. She must be chopping like crazy. Eileen hands the knife back, and after a bit to steady myself, I have another try. She soon starts frowning as I slice away, but at least she's not yelling at me again. Look at her face. I'm guessing you don't cook for yourself. Her eyes rest on the collection of lopsided shapes sitting before me. I'm lucky if I don't mess up instant noodles. I thought those were impossible to get wrong. I'm genuinely impressed. You do all your own cooking? Not like I have anyone else to cook for me. Healthier than living off pizza and burgers too. What about Wallace? Aren't you roommates? Smile. No, he just loafs around here sometimes. I try to get him to help, but he's no better than you are. I'm always feeding him and letting him crash on my couch. He even bugs me for free pictures for his writing. She sets down her knife in genuine, if depressing, thought. Maybe we should just become roommates. I think I'm starting to get a handle on their relationship now. As strange a pair as they might seem, the stern and uncompromising Eileen and gentle giant Wallace seem like they're a compatible couple. I'm surprised you're not. I thought you might be together. Nope, just friends. So much for that. She waves away the idea so easily that it must have come up before. In fact, back at the cafe, Wallace seemed quick to clarify that too. Wallace's voice pipes up from behind us. You know, it's not often Eileen invites someone else over for dinner. I don't invite anyone over for dinner. You just show up most of the time. Including now, actually. I've had to put up with him like this since high school. I guess no one else would. Objection! I'm the one who puts up with you. I'm the one currently holding a knife. Objection withdrawn. With that, he goes back to quietly watching television. I'm starting to get how Eileen deals with others in general now. She simply has no filter when it comes to stating what she believes to be true. That can be a problem just as much as shyness, though. Thinking back to when we met, the only reason I didn't write the episode with her off is Caprice and Wallace nudging me afterwards. But here she is, looking after her friend and providing me with a meal. It took a while, but I'm glad I met her in the end. Perhaps that's why it's a little worrisome that she lives alone like this. We normally do all this without anyone to help. You don't need to say that like it's a bad thing. There's all sorts in the world. Some are better with people than others. Living alone suits me and I can afford it. You can afford it. You know Caprice though, don't you? So you're not completely alone besides Wallace. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Tell me, how did you and Caprice meet? We were sitting at the same table for a biology lecture and she started passing me notes during class out of the blue. Once we started talking afterwards, she didn't really stop. That's the way it goes with her. Once you get caught in her orbit, she doesn't let you go. Caprice isn't that bad. She's a sweet person, just high energy. She gives a non-committal grunt before getting on with her cooking. I do wish she'd give her a chance. Caprice does only mean the best for her. Moving away from that, could you grab the plates and glasses? These shouldn't take long to fry. Root beer, please. Water is healthier. Allison, please save me from this woman. All I can do is give a weak smile, much as I'd like to give him what he asked for. Following Eileen's orders would probably be for the best. With all of us well and truly full, we sit around the table and savor the meal we've had. It was the best food I've had in a while, since it was neither takeout nor cooked by Rose. Having sent a text message to her for a pickup, all that's left is to run down the clock as the evening wears on. Looking around the apartment, I point to one of the paintings on the wall. Did you paint all these? Yeah, we need to find something else to put up there though. But why? They're really good. I appreciate the thought. All of them have dumb little mistakes though. Just needed something to make the walls less bare when I moved in. I never got around to replacing them. Mistakes? You like painting people in particular, don't you? Just into portraits and figures. Modern art's all well and good, but I started with figure drawing and ended up attached to it. Yeah, that's a problem with drawing sometimes. You start off with portraits and then you grow up with portraits, never leaving out of your comfort zone. And so when you're really good at drawing people and try to draw and animate objects, it just appears not as good enough. Bodies are pretty fascinating when you think about them. That is, I've spent days just sitting there sketching, trying to work out how the muscles fit together, how lighting interacts with skin and all that. The way she rattles off her thoughts with such feeling gives her away how much she cares about the subject. I can't say take it quite as seriously as she does, but I can see where she's coming from. Interested in this stuff, Allison? Me? I just read it in high school. Passing the time, that kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that. I sketch on my tablet, and Eileen gives pointers sometimes. Maybe I should throw you to the wolves and tell Caprice you like doing art as well. You wouldn't. I'm thinking about it. I can't help but giggle a bit at the two of them. Yet even as they do, there's a small pang of envy there. I can empathize with Eileen, keeping her group of friends small, but I do wish I were closer to her. In more ways than one. She's who I wish I could be. A familiar sound of a motorbike's horn can be faintly heard from outside, bringing an end to both my thoughts and this little outing. Are you gonna wash the dishes? That for you? Giving a nod, I get up from my chair and collect my coat from Eileen's helpful hand, quickly throwing it over myself. Thanks for tonight. It was nice. Not wanting to keep Rose waiting, I wave Wallace goodbye as I take my leave, with Eileen coming along to see me at the door. Got everything with you? I quickly pat around my pockets to make sure. Phone, purse, keys, they all seem to be there. All good. I'll see you then. If you want to come around again, feel free. She's really nice. If I'm not too much trouble, that'd be nice. I do a poor job of hiding my happiness at the offer. My reply just a little too quick to sound natural. Okay, I'll go. Believe me, you're no trouble. It honestly doesn't me good to see you a bit more upbeat. Shows he looks after me. I tilted my head a little at the odd idea. You just seemed kind of skittish before, but now you're all sunshine and rainbows. It suits you. I love her. She does look after me. Sorry, I'm a bit shy. Not to mention a bit homesick. Being able to talk with friends outside of school was a nice change. Not to mention having a homemade meal. Even I didn't help that much. It did take my mind off things. Eventually, as my mind slowly manages to get back into gear, I muster the words to say what I want to tell her as I get past being so flustered. If you don't mind me being around for dinner, maybe being together in a club wouldn't be so bad. She hesitates for a good few moments, making me doubt myself as I offer the suggestion as carefully as possible. She knows I like her as a person, so hopefully she can look past her previous experiences. Hopefully. Just as I begin to think I've overstepped the mark, she gives an almost comically long sigh. The horn sounds again in the distance as silence reigns, but my feet stay plastered as she comes to an answer. Fine. We got her. Tell Capri she can have her jump club. Thank you. She can have her jump club. Just don't make me regret it. With an enthusiastic nod and a wave, I start off down the hallway once more. Eileen disappearing into her apartment as I look back. So, you've got Eileen. You've managed to manipulate her into joining our club. Next is to dominate her. So that's it. And remind me to save this time. And I'll see you soon.